I'm here with Aryeh Sonnenberg, a resident of Ramat Beit Shemesh.
Correct.
Originally from the United States. You've been in Israel how many years?
Just about 17 years.
17 years. Aryeh Sonnenberg is a regular guy, clean cut. He works in a high-tech, U.S. High-tech firm. He is an outstanding citizen, abides by the law, does everything the way he's supposed to do. However, Aryeh has run afoul of the law, or at least afoul of the police, because Aryeh has been caught, apprehended on the Temple Mount in prayer. And Aryeh has a very interesting story. He has been arrested, he has been put in jail, he's been brought before the courts, and he is even in the middle of a lawsuit against the Israel police for basically harassment and making his life miserable. You've been arrested more than once.
That's correct.
For the same crime?
Related to the Temple Mount, yes.
Related to the Temple Mount, meaning on the Temple Mount you were apprehended in prayer.
Right.
And when you were brought to the police, the first time, you can explain it, they presented you with a document that they asked you to sign.
Right, let's back up. The first time that I was arrested, I went up to the Temple Mount knowing that I was going to pray regardless of what the consequences were. I had gotten to a point where I needed to. I couldn't be without the prayer in the Temple Mount, without that direct connection. And I went up on that weekday knowing that regardless of whether they told me that you have to stop or we're going to arrest you, I was going to continue my prayers and come what may.
Mm-hmm. How long ago was this?
This was about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I went up and somewhere on the east side of the Temple Mount, directly opposite where the opening to the temple would be. So I was in the middle of the Tefillah of Aleinu, and the police saw me. Now, the Waqf who was together with us, they weren't paying any attention. It was only the police that was bothered by my praying. And he told me in no uncertain terms, stop praying or else we're going to arrest you. So I was expecting that, so I continued to pray. It went on 2 or 3 more times. He said, stop praying. And then he called his commander on the intercom, and he told his commander, this gentleman is praying. If he doesn't stop, I'm going to arrest him. So he was trying to get me to stop, but I had come with a mission, so I wasn't planning on stopping at that moment. And at that point, after he got the okay from his commander, he said, you're arrested. So okay, I was like, Baruch Hashem, I've come to do what I needed to do. And I got some prayers in, and I also achieved getting arrested. Now, most people don't come up to be arrested, but there was a point to it. And as you mentioned, I'm generally a law-abiding citizen. But I feel very strongly that when Jewish rights are trampled upon, it's a terrible thing. When it happens in the most holy place to the Jewish nation, it's something that you simply cannot be silent. You have to make your efforts to put an end to it. So I was arrested. I was interrogated. I was let out. I wasn't in prison at that time. I was told that I couldn't go up to the Temple Mount for 15 days. I had contacted a lawyer beforehand, so I knew how to act during the interrogation. And it was actually fairly simple. It wasn't an act that required a tremendous amount of courage, something that many people could do. And that was the end of the day. I received a form saying that I was sent away from the Mount for 15 days. I forwarded that to my lawyer, and that's where the lawsuit came in. Okay,
this was a form, this is the form that you had to sign.
Well, no, this was the form to release me from prison, understanding that I had been banned from the Mount for 15 days. Mm-hmm. It was only after the 15 days were up, when had I wished to go back up the Temple Mount, before I was allowed up, even though the court or the police said you're out for 15 days, mm-hmm. In reality the story is different. The police tell you that you're out for a certain amount of time, and then when you really want to go back up, you have to meet with a commander, you have to sign a form that says, I'm going to behave, I'm going to be a good boy. Mm-hmm. If you don't sign that form, then you can't go up.
And that first time that you were arrested, you did sign the form?
That's correct. The first time I was arrested, again, under advice of my lawyer, who basically indicated to me the form is illegal and there's really it'll have no bearing on anything else that you'll do, whether you'll be able to go back up again or not. Just, you have to sign it or the police won't let you go back up. It was very hard for me to stay home and not go up to Har Bayit, not go up to the Temple Mount. So I signed the form.
We have a copy of it's not the same form, but basically the same text. It's not the same form that you signed that time. But maybe you can explain what you are guaranteeing by signing this. What are you agreeing to?
It's interesting. Actually, the form, the contents of the form change with time. Mm-hmm. As the police become stricter, you know, it may have started out with you can't bow and you can't pray and maybe something else, and then when they find out that somebody was using a book, they say, well, you can't bring up books, mm-hmm. or you can't eat because you may make a bracha, heaven forbid, or you can't do things like that. The form is it's dynamic. It changes with the attitude of the police and with the crimes I'm sure they've added by this time that you can't bring flags or any other sign of the Jewish dominance, the Jewish rule on Temple Mount, because those are crimes, right, so to speak.
Also, if I understand correctly, the form says that you agree to comply with the rules. And I know in the past year it's really been revealed that there are no such rules, that this is sort of an invention that the police use, that they pull out whenever they want to in order to declare that somebody is acting illegally. Right.
That's exactly why we decided to file suit, mm-hmm. because the whole game of arresting people, of saying that it's forbidden to pray in the Temple Mount, it's simply against the law. The Supreme Court has ruled perhaps almost 20 times that it's legal to pray on the Temple Mount. The police have an agenda. The police want to enforce their agenda on the Jewish people. And that's why we decided that we have to start suing the police so that they're getting some kind of positive feedback. You have to put these rules into place. Well, if we can counteract those with our own negative feedback, you can do that, but you have to make a choice. You're going to get sued. You're going to have your day in court. You may be fined several tens of thousands of shekel. You choose what's more important to you.
And is this case still pending?
The case it's not only pending, but even this morning there was a date set for an arbitration agreement. The date got pushed off, but it's pending. My lawyer and their lawyers and 20 pages and 30 pages of arguments back and forth. This case is going. We filed this case to be the beginning of a blueprint for anyone whose rights are hurt on the Temple Mount, that they should be able to take this case, put in their names, put in their details, and they can sue the police the same way.
So obviously this whole procedure that you're going through is got much more on it, riding on it, than your individual rights.
Of course.
You see this as a precedent and hopefully a breakthrough in changing the way the police act, basically by using counterforce, legal counterforce.
That's correct. We're trying to fight them with their tools. Mm-hmm. There are many people from all different walks of life that I've met who are all working to try to change the situation on the Temple Mount. Nobody's doing it because of their own good. They're doing it for the good of the people. They're doing it for your good, for the good of all the Jews in the world. They're doing it for the good of all the people in the world, because we sincerely believe that when the Temple Mount is back operating as it's supposed to be, it won't just be good for the Jews, it'll be good for everyone. And that's our point. We want to create, call it world peace. We have our own view of how to create the world peace, and it's by taking back the Temple Mount for the Jewish people.
Now, since this incident, and since the time that you did sign this declaration of good behavior, you actually have been up to the Temple Mount again, and again, you're a recidivist. You repeated your crime of praying, correct?
That's correct.
And you arrested again?
Yes, I was.
And the whole procedure was basically the same process all over again?
It was similar, but it was actually quite different the second time. Not only because I was a repeat offender, but the first time I went up by myself. Mm-hmm. The second time when I went up, we were with a group of 11 other people who all had the same agenda. Mm-hmm. This was on the day where the infamous flying of the Israeli flag on the Temple Mount for the second time where that took place. So I was together with that group, and that was during that time I was actually imprisoned. I spent some time in a prison cell. Beds aren't so bad, but I wouldn't recommend it. And that was another, we'll call it a break in the armor. I really believe that every time that somebody pushes the envelope, the police are going to have to retreat a little bit. And everyone has the right to do what they need to do on the Temple Mount, to do what's legal to do. And by doing so, you're actually helping everyone else. It's a wonderful thing because you get to pray, you get to communicate with our Master, and at the same time, you can help the rest of the world. It's an incredible, it's a huge step for mankind.
You said the beds weren't so bad, so you were overnight in the...
I fell asleep. I was there for about a half hour until they released us.
And then you went to the court? You were brought before a judge?
We were brought before a judge earlier in the day because it was patently illegal what the police did. Mm-hmm. So our lawyers immediately went to the district court, to the local court, to ask that they release us immediately because they have no right to keep us overnight. That local court said no. We needed to stay there longer because the investigation was going on. The lawyers went to the district court overturned it. But in the 4 hours between the 5 o'clock, court ruling and when we got out at night, so we had all of our items were taken away from us. We were treated like, we weren't treated like prisoners. We were actually treated a little bit less than prisoners because one of the things that they insisted to do was to strip search every person who went there, which is patently illegal. It's patently illegal. Even prisoners aren't supposed to be strip searched. Mm-hmm. And they took everything away. And we didn't have uniforms, but we were basically treated like prisoners. I was in a cell with somebody, I don't know what he was in for.
Right, and that time you refused to sign the form of good behavior.
That's correct, that's correct. It's been several months since that happened, and since then I have not been able to go up to the Temple Mount. Many of us decided that the way to fight this form is by not signing the form, and that we need to make a battle on every possible front. And this battle will be that we're not going to give in to you and sign the form.
So my question then is, you're effectively banned from the Temple Mount an unlimited period of time until ostensibly you would agree to sign this form. And so haven't they neutralized you? How can you fight this effectively if you can't even go up to the Temple Mount and pray again and get arrested again?
You're describing something that's actually very painful, because on one hand, I want to be able to go, mm-hmm. and I want to be able to fight, but on the other hand, I can't. My hands are literally tied behind my back, and I don't think a day has gone by where I haven't said, well, maybe we should sign, we need to go back up, and it's very painful. It's a very difficult experience.
And if you don't have to answer this question, but if you were to sign and were to go back up, would you just do the same thing all over again?
100%. 100%.
Is there a suspicion that even if you sign, the police would still create obstacles for you to go up now that they see that this is your agenda to pray? Can they? I say can they, because what they do is illegal, but do you imagine that they would block you anyway from going up?
I don't think they would block me. Look, the first time that I was arrested, they knew that I was coming. One of the head commanders of the Temple Mount was there. He's never there. Mm-hmm. He was the one who gave me the pre-ascending talk. They know that these things are going to happen. Many times they do close the Temple Mount for no reason that we can tell. They'll always have an excuse that there's something going on, or they just won't have an excuse at all. I don't think they have a problem letting me up because other people have been back up afterwards, mm-hmm. and they'll just follow me very closely like they do everyone else.
Just not everybody might be aware, you mentioned the pre-ascending talk. Could you describe what, as religious Jews, visibly religious Jews, we who go up to the Temple Mount are greeted by the police and given a short list of, I was going to say do's and don'ts, but it's really don'ts. And maybe you want to describe what's included in that list.
I'll just give you a very brief summary of what goes on with Jews who are trying to get in, Jews who look like they may be religious who are trying to go into the Temple Mount. First of all, when you get to the gate, you have to give in your identification card so they can check and make sure that you're not wanted or that you're not on their bad list, on your blocked list. You may wait outside for 30 minutes, for an hour and a half. Sometimes you can wait outside so long that the Temple Mount's already closed. Which means that, if I come from Beit Shemesh, which is a 45-minute drive, and I've had to go to the ritual bath that morning, and I've had to take care of my davening and my other morning schedule, I've already taken 2 hours just to get there to find out that I may not be able to go up. When they finally approve the small groups that they'll let in, so then the police who's at the gate gives you the list of don't pray, don't make any kind of motions with your body, don't close your eyes, don't sing, don't dance, nothing that looks like it might be religious, nothing that might offend the other people who would be on the Temple Mount, the Waqf and people of that sort.
And now the list, of course, includes don't bring an Israeli flag.
Yes.
Your case, is this unique? Are there other people who are also engaged in similar action now, legal action?
There are other people who are engaged in legal action. Some of the things that we've been able to do have been because of ongoing cases where we're really, the lawyer who's working with us is pinning the police into positions that they really don't want to be in. And we will be able, God willing, to work with that on a basis and move forward. There are other people who are involved, yes.
Are your experiences, legal experiences, are they ammunition, let's say, for, there's a lot of interest in the Knesset now, in advancing the cause of Jewish rights on the Temple Mount, Jewish prayer. Are these cases being taken up by them? Are they referring to them?
They're definitely getting to those people. We are all working together. I don't want to consider myself as the model civil rights activist, but if you look at the civil rights activists who made a difference, they were all people who were willing to pay the price for something they believed in, and that's exactly what this is.
Mm-hmm. And are you starting to sense that there's cracks in the armor, that the police are starting to feel the pressure, that the political system is starting to feel the pressure?
100%. There are small signs of light. There's small glimpses of light that we see. There hasn't been the breakthrough yet, but together with what we're doing, as well as a lot of work that's taking place within the Israeli parliament and the Knesset, God willing, we'll get there, and it won't take very long.
Aryeh, you're a hero. You're a working man hero. You're in the vanguard. You really are. You're very modest, but you've made a tremendous sacrifice for this cause, and I'm very, very, very encouraged that you feel that we're making some progress here and getting closer to the day when Jews will be able to go up to the Temple Mount and be Jews and pray as free people in our land, in this holiest site on earth for all Jews. And hopefully that step will also be a very major step for all mankind in aiming toward the final goal of building the Holy Temple and creating a house of prayer for all nations on the Temple Mount. I thank you so much. Once again, Aryeh Sonnenberg, model citizen. You wouldn't think twice if you saw him walking down the street, but he really is in the vanguard, really at the lead role of this struggle to liberate the Temple Mount from ourselves, really, and regain Jewish rights and the ability to pray as Jews on the Temple Mount. Thank you so much, Aryeh.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So moved by Aryeh's story, and actually he was also quite moved, and he related to us later that he appreciated the opportunity to get it off his chest because he had never really just recounted the whole story, and clearly he's also quite moved by what's happened. And it's amazing how Like one of the great rabbis said, the world is saved by one little step at a time, one little act of glory. And I think that this kind of civil disobedience, which is so much in the spirit of Hashem's commandment of showing proper reverence to the Temple Mount, this is the type of dedication that's going to bring about the restoration of Jewish sovereignty, Jewish prayer, and ultimately the rebuilding of the Holy Temple.
Did you mention Temple Mount, Rabbi? Because now we are going, the both of us, up to the Temple Mount. You will see in this visit on the Temple Mount mainly Rabbi Richmond, because the police weren't quite comfortable with the fact that we were filming, and some of the recording equipment that we wanted to bring up, they wouldn't allow us to bring up.
It was actually confiscated, so the equipment that we were using was not the very best, and there's also a feeling of kind of being a little bit
clandestine,
tiptoeing,
yeah.
a little bit under the radar. We have to whisper because they're not really approving. They're watching every move that we make.
You'll hear every now and again the policemen urging us to move on. Why? Because there's another group of Jews that wants to come up, and God forbid there should be two groups of Jews in the Temple Mount at once, because it takes oh so many policemen in order to keep their eye on us so that we won't do anything off limits like pray.
Anyway, they don't really allow us to stand in one place. They don't really allow us to walk together. They don't really allow us to take our time. So the whole thing just has this feeling of like, thank you just for letting me come up here all together.
Right.
It's an exercise in subjugation. It's an experience of degradation, but at the same time, we urge you to continue visiting the Temple Mount. We bring people to the Temple Mount each and every week, and it is a life-changing experience, and it is absolutely essential for you to know what is going on there, to feel it in your bones, and to be seen there by God. And every single person who goes to the Temple Mount is helping to tip the scales.
It's always an exhilarating visit. I don't like to say the visit because we're home. When we go home to the Temple Mount, it's always exhilarating, despite all the efforts by the Muslim Waqf, by the police, to make us feel uncomfortable and unwanted there. It's always very exhilarating. And this time, Rabbi, you in fact took the opportunity to pray quietly, but pray just the same. And say no more. Here we are on the Temple Mount.
What it's all about, Temple Mount Awareness Day. Here we are on the Holy Temple Mount.